Hey, what is going on, you guys? Welcome to One of Each, the Dumb and Hungry podcast, where we talk about our food adventures and our favorite food groups. I'm Angelo, the Dumb and Hungry, and thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing all right. Hey, everyone. Mychow's dead to me because he's not available to record. He says he has like this perfectly valid reason, like he has to be somewhere and he can't be here, but I don't know. That's like not acceptable. You know, he has this contractual obligation that he needs to fulfill. You know, we've talked about this many times before, and yet he's still bailing on us. So I don't know what the whole thing is about, but that's fine. In the meantime, while he is dead to me, we have someone else to fill in the void, someone with just as much loathing and enthusiasm as he does. But without further ado, we're going to bring him on right now. And so I want to welcome everyone. Let's welcome my friend, John. John, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for joining us and, showing that Mychow is replaceable. Just any of us are.
Well, I'm glad you were able to find Loather number 2 to fill
Exactly.
in.
Yeah, I needed someone.
Loather.
Yeah, just with someone just as much of an energy, I think, that Mychow can bring. Maybe even more so to some extent. I don't know. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, thanks again. This is the first time, we've done something like this. So I'm kind of excited. I'm also kind of nervous, maybe, because I don't know what today is going to bring as to how this this conversation is going to go down. But hey, it gives us airtime and gives us another episode. So I will take it. To our listeners, our watchers, we have mentioned John from time to time. He probably doesn't know it because we probably talk about his back all the time, but we've mentioned him from time to time. So this is John. Finally, put a face, to that name. I call him my friend. We are friends, but probably friend is a generous term. I don't know. I don't know.
Loather number 2.
That's right. We'll just label that Loather number 2. But I wonder, John, we have known each other for quite a while. But I wanted to see from your side if you can just kind of recall on how we know each other and how we kind of met. If you can kind of recall that.
Sure. So, first of all, I feel like I'm a bit of a substitute teacher today, where you've got some unknown person you've never met before running rampage on your podcast. So hopefully I just show a video and we're good for today. And I'll just rest in the background. How did we know each other? I mean, coming back into school, Sir Dumb and Hungry and I attended the old LAUSD public school system. And we met in, I want to say, was middle school.
Yeah.
We were on a field trip. I mean, I think this is my earliest memory of you. We were on a field trip and we were somewhere in downtown LA, and I think we were at City Hall, and it was lunchtime. And normally for field trips, at least prior to middle school, we had the budget to supply lunches for students. So I never had to worry about lunch, but this was the first field trip I was on where, shockingly, there was no food available. So it's probably one of the worst field trips in my book. So I found myself foodless and penniless, and so short of starting to beg for money on the streets while this field trip was going on, Angelo kindly donated $5, which was a lot of money back then. I got you a lot of food at the old Carl Jr. Donated $5 towards my cost. So I was always like a homeless, vagrant beggar, I guess. And Angelo was the guy on the street who pulls up at the freeway intersection and hands out money through his window. I think that was my first memory. I mean, obviously, you didn't pull up in any vehicle of sorts at that time. But yeah, we bonded over food and just was a starting point for us. That's my memory. Is that more or less jive with what you recall?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it was just a bribe, basically. It's like, please spend time with me.
Yeah. It was a contractual exchange, right? You offered me consideration, in return, I offered friendship.
And a lifetime.
Or kinship, yeah. What I didn't realize was that it was lifetime commitment. I should have bargained and negotiated. That's my first lesson in negotiations was know your worth, because you can get locked into a lifetime contractual relationship for $5, not adjusted for inflation.
Take notes.
So here I am.
Take notes.
Right? Mychow's on PTO. He's not even paid to do this. So he's just on TO.
You just TO.
And here I am.
It's fine.
Fulfilling my debt to this man. I guess I could have just paid you back, but he also refused to take money. So
there you go. Well, there you go.
I guess that's an option.
That's how we keep it going. This is how we keep this whole thing going. So
right. So hopefully you've bought more people under your tutelage since then.
But none willing.
Menagerie of associates.
I guess associates. But none willing to jump on a whatever this is. But that's fine. That's what makes you unique. So thank you. Thank you very much, John. And thank you again, everyone, for listening into, again, whatever this is. Let's continue to catch up a little bit since we kind of last seen each other. Actually, we saw each other not too long ago. We spent some time with a few of our other friends. We were visiting the magical world of Disney. And we were there with Carmen. Carmen was there, and Chris and Clara. They were there with us as well. But we spent most of the day, I don't know, eating, I guess. I don't know. That's really what ended up happening. So it was a pretty good day. What do you remember from there? I mean, we were just wondering, like, first, like, what we were going to do, I guess. I don't know what kind of activities, were we going to do any rides? But I think it just ended up being more on eating.
Yeah. I think the most magical thing about Disneyland is this magic trick they're able to do where money just disappears from your wallet over the course of the day. And you're like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Because I think we spent most of the day spending money on food.
Yeah.
That was our Disney trip.
Yeah.
We got there, took our time, got there around 11 a.m. and the first thing we did was straight to lunch. So we found ourselves at Hungry Bear, where they were, Disney's doing their 100-year anniversary as a company, not the Disneyland theme parks, but 100-year anniversary as a company, enterprise.
Right.
Yeah. So they had promotional items at various restaurants. We visited Hungry Bear where they were doing their potato cheddar cheeseburger, which is almost like a double down, except instead of using meat patties, they use potato patties.
Right.
And then on top of that, they give you buns just to encapsulate the whole thing. So it was a regular cheeseburger. And then on both sides of that cheeseburger was 2 blankets of basically hash browns.
Yeah.
And a slathering of jalapeno cheese sauce, and then the bun, because if to call it a burger obligatory, they needed to give you some vehicle to hold it with. So that was lunch.
That's heavy. How we started. That's
how we started. Yeah. We're like, let's tempt any ride. But before we do that, let's make sure to make ourselves feel as sick as possible so that when we get churning on the rides, we'll be in a bad place. Yeah, so we did that. We did a ride, maybe.
Yeah.
We did the new Runaway Railway ride in the recently reopened Toontown.
Yeah.
That's a ride we brought over from, I want to say it's Hollywood Studios in Orlando. And then what do we do? Is that when we got on your favorite ride right after that?
Yeah, it's probably the best ride.
Yeah,
arguably.
So we literally just did trains all day, right? Because we got there and we took a tram, and that took us to the park.
Mm-hmm.
Then we ate,
Right.
and as we ate, we watched the train go by.
Right.
And then after we finished eating, we got on the runaway railway, which
is
as
basically
the name alludes to, it's a train that runs away. And then once we got found and got back to we watched some unfortunate events in front of a bathroom. But then after that, we got on another train,
right?
And we did the train to go around the park, and we did that for a loop and a half.
Oh yeah,
which took about 45 minutes, I think.
that time just flies by. It's just like nothing.
Yeah, you can catch so many Pokemon on that train. And plan so many vacations on that train.
I guess so. That's true.
I did wonder, because we did repeat 2 or 3 of the stops. I did wonder if some of the folks there started to recognize us. Like,
they're still there. It's like,
how many times do you need to see prehistoric Earth? Yeah, so we did the loop and a half, and then honestly, I thought we just went to get food right after that.
I mean,
maybe we stopped by a store or something.
We could have.
But then we were able to snag a reservation at Lamplight Lounge, which is one of the restaurants over at the pier on the California Adventure side. It's a reservation-based system for dining. We were able to snag a reservation that day, and then we had dinner, early supper. I don't know. Another meal. Had another meal right by the Incredicoaster along the water, freezing, very, very cold day. And we did a bunch of drinks and had their lobster nachos, some salmon poke, a lot of seafood foods, and they also had like what do they call it? A kung pao bao? Is that what they called it? There's nothing kung pao about it. It was just pork belly. It was pork belly bao. Yeah, it's a misnomer. So if you order it, don't expect the kung pao. But I think we overate there. I started to feel sick, and so we're too sick to do any rides.
Right.
So I think your solution was let's get cookies.
Let's get dessert. But yes.
Yeah, let's get dessert. So we got cookies at I can never remember Jack Jack's. Is it Num Nums?
I think so. Yeah. But next to the Incredicoaster.
Next to the Incredicoaster, yeah, it was like a deep dish chocolate chip cookie, because why not? And a shortbread cookie. And then once we were done with that, I think you said, my meal isn't complete until I've had ice cream. So then we went to get ice cream.
And I was surprised. I thought we were just going to get, I thought we could just get soft serve by that place at the pier. I forgot what the abominable snowman thing. But they only have like the fruity flavored, whatever it is. It was just kind of.
I think they used to do soft serve.
Oh, absolutely.
Ice cream. Ice cream there, but because it was June gloom, they changed it to very sad fruit flavors. And we were like, we're not standing for this. We're gonna go get American old fashioned vanilla.
Yeah, I think so. So we ended up at the ice cream shop near the entrance of the DCA, and I had we
rode the train out of there.
That's
so we literally did train, then a train of food appeared at our table, then train. Then we walked across the park for another train of food, then to get on a train to return home.
That sounds like a good day. I think it was well spent.
Yeah. It was a gluttonous day.
Yeah, as it usually is anyway when you're hanging out with the likes of us. So
I think we almost got one of each appetizer at Lamplight.
Is that right?
The one that we passed on was the Brussels sprout salad. No surprise.
I wonder why. Well,
we dodged. Should only be brown. That's what we were sticking to.
At least we dodged that one. That's fine.
We dodged that one.
Yeah. But in the meantime, in between, we also had some the Dole Whip, right?
Oh my God, that's right.
That was good. I enjoyed that.
We ate so much, I literally can't remember it all.
Well, I mean, it was a lot. Yeah. You probably want to like kind of repress some of those memories because it was just so much, but that's fine. I don't see a problem. It's just, it was a good day.
Right.
That's all I can say. It was a good day.
This is the way. This is the way you do Disneyland, right? You saw how many people were stressed out on their apps, like, "Oh my god, the wait time is 80 minutes now." Meanwhile, here we are. Oh, can we get a reservation here?
Where's the churro stand?
Where's the churros? Why don't they have special churros?
Yeah. Well, the churro we had that day was a churro like in
Oh my god, we had churros. Yeah, that's right.
covered in powdered sugar and also a side of the like this guava cream cheese dip, which was quite good too. So, especially with cream cheese, you know us with cream cheese, it's quite nice.
I've seen a meal or two where cream cheese was consumed excessively.
Right, almost exclusively.
Well, those are the dark days.
They still might creep up now and then,
Right. Some people have a bad day. They'll just do a bottle of wine or they'll eat a tub of ice cream. Mm-hmm. I've never met people until you and Mychow will just do a block of cream cheese. Just absurd.
Yeah.
Like just you eat it like a candy bar, I'd assume, made with a spoon.
Well, it has it's nice, it has a nice soft texture, so it's easy to just kind of get through. And
yeah, it's easy on the gums, right? It doesn't
exactly. It doesn't at all.
Why don't they use that as baby food? I don't understand. High protein, high fat content. The baby's still growing.
Let's get on that. That would be a big hit, I think. So
there's a reason why you and I are not doctors.
There are numerous reasons for that, but that's right. That is definitely one of them. Well, good. I'm glad sounds like we had a good time. And I hope
speak for yourself. I was dying. It was so much food.
I mean, it was a lot. I mean, it was. I mean, we were still thinking about getting that turkey leg, that sriracha turkey leg.
I was not thinking about any turkey legs.
Chris certainly was. He was very tempted, as was I.
To me, when you guys said turkey leg, it felt like you were saying curse words because I was just so tired of food. Anytime you said sriracha turkey leg, I just heard F-bombs.
Or just like, yeah, we're speaking nonsense here. It's well, we decided to save it for another time because I'm sure we'll be back and for another day of just overeating and riding the train. So. Yeah, I think that turned out pretty good.
You think about it, we literally paid for the privilege to buy more food. And then we just sat on trains.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's literally our whole day at Disneyland. We didn't even stay for the fireworks. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have the show because it was a cloudy day, but
maybe.
They do them on Saturdays. They're like, no, we're good. We're just gonna train out of here.
And some Pepto-Bismol. So, yeah. Well, that was our day at Disney. And so that was a lot of fun. And so hopefully more to come on that. But yeah, if you're ever at Disney, those are just some of the fun things that we did and ate. So, after that, even though I was so full, just as you said, I really couldn't, I didn't know what to do with that. So I ended up eating more the next day. So, so the next day.
Your judgment so poorly.
What? I think it's on track. It tracks pretty well.
Right. It's like you're fixed to a food hangover as more food.
It's this,
the only way.
It's what they call positive feedback, right? It's
right. Yeah.
So I couldn't get enough. So so the next day I met up with some of our friends and we went to a brewery in Long Beach called Ambitious Ales. And we've in previous episodes we've mentioned them from time to time. A lot of pop-ups come through there. A lot of great food served out of there. along with great beers, even though I'm not one to partake to all the time, but every now and again, I guess I will. But in this case, I did. But at Ambitious Ales was a pop-up called Dumplings. And Dumplings is, as the name kind of implies, serves dumplings. And this is actually, yeah, you would have thought, right? But let me see if I can bring that up while I'm kind of bringing this. But Dumplings is owned by a gal named Jody, and Jody's actually a friend of Jamie. And it was Jamie who actually first recommended and mentioned this to me. So I have her to thank. And I had picked up food from her before. She had done some like kind of pickups near her area in Studio City, or near there. And but she's been just kind of doing a lot more pop-ups and doing that rotation. So if you check out her, Instagram, it's, at stuffed_dumplings, you'll kind of see the schedule that, she kind of is laid out. She has pop-ups kind of lined up almost every week or so. And, I was just lucky that she was down closer to Long Beach, recently. So she makes some really great dumplings. I mean, obviously there's no shortage of dumplings in areas like the SUV and Chinatown and all that. But I think the way she's just making some real good, high quality, stuff. Just some of the things that kind of stood out. We had she's made this thing called the holy shiitake. And it's just this really nice, meaty, like shiitake mushroom, with, chopped vegetable. And it's just... and pan fried, so you have this nice crispy bottom with lined with sesame as well. So there's like kind of this nice crunch there, and it's that was a very memorable. I mean, it wasn't even meat. Can you believe it? And it's something that really ended up enjoying. So So that was what they called the holy shiitake. And then there was another flavor too. I forgot the exact name.
Was that your guilt for not having the Brussels sprouts the day before? You're like, I should have a vegetable of some kind, but it needs to be wrapped in some carbohydrate and it gets pan fried.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, it just helps create balance, right? I mean, balance is important in life. So this is
right. Yeah. Right, a whole bowl of Brussels sprout leaves. It's too much.
No,
it's way off balance.
That really is way off balance. But this really hits the spot, I got to tell you right now. So that was good. But another flavor that kind of stood out was this curry, and it was, I forgot the exact name of the flavor, but it was based on Steph Curry. I mean, just kind of the play on the name. Not cannibalistic or anything. I'm just talking about like.
That curry tastes like, okay.
But it was a sweet
gold championship rings inside.
Yeah. But it was like a nice sweet curry, very kind of Japanese like, but all that flavor and put into a fried dumpling wrapper, and it was kind of nice and almost surprising that you could have something like that, because obviously curry is more not solid. So I guess yes, it can be tough to enclose it.
It's certainly more not solid. I agree.
Good, I'm glad.
I mean, it sounds like a ravioli.
Almost, you could almost think about it like that, right?
Like a sweet potato ravioli, except curry. So
yes, but it really hits. I mean, the spot as far as like getting that curry flavor. In a dumpling. So she did that really well. So if ever, I noticed that, she's at these breweries, Benny Boy and Hops Merchants. Hops Merchants actually in North Hollywood, if you don't know. And so she'll be popping up there, and between that and Benny Boy. So if you're in those areas, you can check them out. And that would be a good place to spend a weekend, I guess, Anyway, but that's
a whole weekend.
If you want to, sure. I would if I could.
If they're not closed, you can just hang out there.
Just hang out there. Even after everyone leaves, after they close the tabs, it's like what?
Right, they just shut you inside, lock the door. You gotta scrounge for food.
Yeah, just going at the scraps. It's like,
Now you mentioned you had a beer with the dumplings. How does that pair? Did you enjoy that pairing?
you know, I just know that it was good. I don't really pay attention, I guess, to the flavors, I guess, that it brings out. But usually usually drink lighter beers, and those that are like more fruity, maybe sour. So I think that's what I had in that case. It was like this berry kind of sour beer. I enjoyed
So
it.
it's just an obstacle for you to get. Oh, okay, you enjoyed it.
It's like
Like
I have
this
to
is
get through
standing
this first,
between
right?
me and my dumplings. Yeah,
Yeah, right.
I need to socially accept it, but
Right.
I'm really here for the dumplings.
For the dumplings.
Right. Or is there a cover charge where you can't eat at that bar unless you get a beer?
Well, I mean, you know, people who listen here know pretty well that usually I'm more familiar with breweries only because of these pop-ups. So I probably wouldn't have gone, you know, otherwise.
Look, that's cool. It exposed you to another world that you didn't spend a lot of time in. So
Yeah, exactly. And it's crazy. Like these breweries, I mean, even like the whole brewery, you know, is a whole community itself. It's like people that know each other at different breweries. And then even there are, you know, groups of people within the breweries themselves, regulars and everything. It's just a really interesting, you know, group of people and crowd. And it's nice. It's nice very relaxing and a nice time a place to be at. So. Yeah, so pop-ups like these kind of naturally just have something, you know, to pair with, you know, something to eat, something to drink. Because a lot of these breweries, you know, a number of them might have kitchens that they would have served food out of, but I think it works out a little better to rotate different vendors and pop-ups through. So Ambitious Ales is a great example of someone that does that. So. And dumplings, of course, is a great example of one of those vendors that comes through. So hopefully more to come. So hopefully we'll try that out together. I don't know. But again, if you're ever within any of those vicinities, please give them a visit.
that sounds too ambitious and it ails me to think about it.
Yeah, you might need to. But areas like, you know, NoHo or East LA or whatever might be more in your alley. Yeah, so here we are. Speaking of more food, thank you again, everyone, for joining us as we talk about our food adventures, our local spots and pop-ups with good food and good people. You know, today is a little different. We're actually not staying local as we usually do. We're actually going to venture off a little bit and visit the international scene, courtesy of John here. You know, when I'd asked him to kind of join for today, I kind of had in mind that maybe he'd be willing to kind of share some of his thoughts and things that he's enjoyed lately. And so lately, I don't know if I'll just kind of say that, you know, you had a nice time recently visiting outdoors. Wait, that's not right. But outdoors.
Nice time leaving your house is what I'm hearing.
Well, I mean, effectively, yes, I think so.
I assume you do the same when you go out to eat.
Right, yes.
You're leaving your place.
That's the great outdoors, as we call it, you know. Well, why don't you tell the people, John, and what you've been up to lately and what we've kind of asked you to share today.
So I guess my great outdoor that I visited, we were lucky enough to be able to go to Italy.
Mm.
We went mid-May. We visited a handful of cities. So first off, we went to Rome, and then we followed that up with Florence, and then stopped at a seaside town called Cinque Terre. We stayed there for actually 3 nights. And then one day in Milan, or one afternoon in Milan, and then came back home.
Very nice.
So we spent quite a bit of time over there. I think it was 12 nights. I could be wrong. I didn't help to plan any of it. I was really there along for the ride.
Okay.
So I really don't know. I'm still trying to remember what the itinerary was because I was just there to experience it. I was fortunate my wife and her sister and my brother-in-law planned it all.
Yeah.
My job was to learn Italian. And then, so, I spent a lot of time doing that. It
Did
was a
you?
lot of Duolingo. Learned a
Okay.
lot of words that I did not need, right? Because it wasn't teaching me to be a conversationalist per se. It was
Mm,
teaching me how to say things like, that's my cookie. And
I need
that's a
that.
monkey.
I think I need
Right.
that in my
Yeah.
vocabulary.
Right. Well, hopefully the local Italian people aren't taking your cookies that you need to ask for it back. But yeah, I found out that a lot of, in Rome especially, there's a lot of students
Mm,
out doing study abroad programs. And when we were walking through the neighborhood, we were staying in a town or a part of town called Trastevere.
mm,
And in that area, there was a lot of students, a lot of young international students, a lot of them from the States. You could tell by the way they spoke. But it was really strange because you were walking around this very old historical area and all you heard was American English.
oh, interesting.
So
Hmm.
it didn't feel like we were too far, other than the surrounding, the atmosphere. Everything around us was very American.
Yeah.
And Florence had a lot of students too, but it was felt more dense, at least based off the area we were staying. So you saw a lot of folks, a lot of visitors, a lot of locals. And then Cinque Terre was felt more Italian. It's a smaller seaside town.
Mm,
I think we saw there was either 400 to 700 local inhabitants
yeah.
across the five towns, and then the rest are tourists. So easily flanked on all sides by tourists. But it's just become tourist towns, right? That's what their local economies rely on is
Mm,
visitors. So a lot of restaurants, some experiences you can do, a lot of gelato. I mean, a lot of gelato shops everywhere. Gelato shops to Italy are like the bakeries to France, right? It's like every other store is a gelato shop. I didn't look it up, but it did feel like there must have been some kind of municipal requirement that if you're going to open a store, you need to be flanked on both sides by gelato shops.
mm.
So they were aplenty. But yeah, that was our trip. It was a good eating adventure, right? So Italy is known for the Holy Trinity, the three P's. They've got pizza,
Hmm.
pasta, and
Mm.
paninos
Ooh.
sandwiches.
Mm.
So we definitely indulged in the trifecta. Obviously gelato too, but they named it with a G, so it's Family Trinity. But that's like a finisher, right? You finish your meal, you go get gelato.
Yeah.
Or if it was you start your day with a gelato and have gelatos throughout the day, right? It's like, oh, I caught my train. Let's have a gelato.
Right.
Like a little
Exactly.
celebration, right? I found my Airbnb using Google Maps. And you get a gelato. So we weren't quite that extreme.
Oh
We,
man.
we had other things in the agenda. We went to the
Right.
Vatican, very, very busy.
Mm.
Um, saw some paintings that I did not realize were in the Vatican, but we saw them in our textbooks growing up.
Yeah.
I couldn't recall them for you, but yeah, very impressive. Rome had a lot of history, a lot of the sites that you see in your textbooks or romanticized in movies. Fast and Furious 10,
Mm.
Mashallah scenes
What?
in Rome. They actually had their premiere in
Oh
Rome.
yeah. Sure.
And
Sure.
so we went out there shortly after they were out there. And
Yeah.
thank God we weren't there for that because they looked like they more or less shut down the Coliseum to do the premiere. Um, yeah, it was just very cool. We were able to walk around Rome and just about everywhere you went, there was some kind of historical site that survived through hundreds, if not thousands, of years that are still standing today. And they're impressive to observe. And in between them are somewhat modern to modern stores and living situations. So it's very much a very old city embedded with old history. I think as a result of all that history, there's very few. I mean, it's not a very big town to begin with, but there's no real good subway system per se. There's two lines that will get you around, but you do rely heavily on walking and on
Mm.
buses. But that's not why you brought me here. You just want to know about the food. So maybe I should just move off this topic. Forget the history. What do they eat? What do they eat?
Well, that's part of history too.
Mm.
History and culture.
Right. Yeah. That's the main. Isn't that the main component of culture is food?
Is food. That's right. That's how you
I don't
learn.
know what else. What else makes up culture? They talk about work culture, and it's just food, isn't it?
That's right. Exactly. Well, yeah. Why don't you bring us, kind of run us through the many different things that you ate, around the places they were, and yeah, I mean, just what you remember would be a good way to go about it.
Well, you're asking for at minimum 36 meals to recount if we were there for 12 nights.
We got all night.
So I got
I
3
got,
meals a day.
I got time.
Plus 2 airplane meals, plus 2 layover meals. So got a lot to go through. Let's see. I had to boil it down. We should just start with pasta. Yeah, they're known for pasta. We have a lot of Italian brands that you can buy in the grocery stores here. Barilla is a huge, prolific brand in our grocery stores. And Barilla is big there in Italy too, but we didn't eat any of that stuff. Uh, we had what the locals are making. But pasta in Italy is it's hard to describe. I mean, it's the perfect al dente. It's got very flavorful sauces that accompany it. Um, there's all kinds of shapes. We had a lot of peachy, spelled
Peachy.
Pici,
Okay.
peachy,
Okay.
and then you can think of it almost as between a spaghetti and an udon noodle. It's somewhere in that happy medium, but it's a pasta noodle. So they use it to make carbonara. They use it to make a matriciana. You can get, I mean, it's just about any sauce. It's almost like pick your pasta, pick your sauce, boom,
Wow.
we can make it for you.
So it's a very versatile seems type of.
It's a very versatile food. Yeah. And the most mind blowing thing was, I think we're fortunate having a currency that's still fairly strong at this stage and living a West Coast rate wage. When you go to Italy, it feels quite affordable. I was expecting to spend 15, 20, $30, what I would spend here in the States for pasta. But over there, it was 7 to 10 euros, which is $8 to $11.
Right.
For some of the best pasta you've ever eaten. And it's like you can go to just about any restaurant and get a solid
Get
pasta.
the same.
That's not 100% true. Check TripAdvisor. But it certainly felt that way. There's restaurants everywhere. They're not, a lot of restaurants aren't necessarily big restaurants. There's no Olive Garden of Italy. It's just little mom and pop shops. Some chains. Definitely the pastas are a standout. Gnocchi, they had a great gnocchi. Great gnocchi.
Sure.
We had a truffle-based gnocchi in a cream sauce. That was delicious. I mean, our very first night, we started off with pasta. So, we landed, got our bearings, got to our Airbnb, and then walked over to this restaurant called Mimi e Coco Trust, which Trust is just short for Trastevere, the area that we were in.
Oh, okay.
And it was busy. It was really busy. I think it was 8 p.m. and there was these. We walked by the area. It's just residential or restaurants at the bottom. Very narrow streets, fits one car, and then every car that we saw parked on the streets had damage on the front bumper and the back bumper. Like they are all parked bumper to bumper.
Wow.
Corners are really tight. People are really good at driving through those areas without hitting people, but they're not so good about hitting objects. So just about every car was scuffed in that area. I think there's less care. I think you would just expect if you're going to drive through that area, it's going to get damaged. So you're not going to spend the time money to fix it because it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
But very small streets, great for walking. But this first restaurant, Mimi e Coco, it was our first restaurant. Had to put my Duolingo Italian to the test.
Did it?
And
where's my cookie?
I ended up not. All right. I showed up, and the first thing I asked was, "That's my cookie." It wasn't even asked; it was a statement. The very first thing I asked was, "Okay, we have a table for two." And it turns out you don't learn that in Duolingo. So at the end of the day, I ended up on Google Translate anyways. Typing in, "Can I get a table for two?" Or for four, sorry. So they told us, it was about a 15, 20-minute wait. So sure, no problem. hung around, took a look at their menu, and I think we ended up waiting about 45 minutes before
Wow.
we got seated. It's a small restaurant. It's
Hmm.
very, very small on the inside, maybe like 7 to 8 tables. And then on the outside, there was about 4 to 5 tables, but they weren't really seating people outside because it was raining. There was light rain. When we got seated, they were super apologetic for making us wait. And I was like, wow, this is very strange. I was very appreciative that they were apologetic, but I wasn't expecting it at all. I'm
Mm.
used to dining out here in the States where they'll tell you it's 30 minutes and then you wait a day and a half and they're like, oh,
Right.
your table's ready.
Yeah.
And then that's the end of that conversation. Yeah, they were very nice and very apologetic. And they, for our inconvenience, they gave us all a glass of white wine to start off our meals.
Mm.
Where am I knew we were in a different place.
Yeah.
As soon, you don't have to tip for service. You don't tip for, it's not a thing you do in Italy. You don't tip for service,
Right.
but it's
The
just
price there is what you see is what you're paying. Right.
what
I
you see
mean,
is what you pay.
yeah.
But even despite not having to quote unquote earn the service, they're
Hmm.
still very hospitable, very
Yeah.
kind. So it was a great first meal. That's where we had our carbonara and our amatriciana and pici. I mentioned there's three P's. There's the pasta, the pizza, and the panino.
Yeah.
What I didn't mention is the pince.
Pince.
Pince, pince it's almost like a flatbread pizza, but I mean, at least the one that we had, I wouldn't call pizza because so pince is just a style of quote unquote pizza.
Hmm.
I didn't spend a lot of time researching this. I hope you're on the background now doing the research that I did not prepare. But it's a flatbread,
Hmm.
and so it's hand stretched, and it's usually some kind of oval shape. And what was unique about this restaurant was when we were going through the menu, it said raw, and then it said rocket salad, which is the translation for arugula.
Mm.
Yep, that looks pretty pince close to what we had. Um,
Nice.
so we had, yeah, it said raw rocket salad, buffalo mozzarella, olive oil, and I forget what the other thing was. And we're like, it
Mm.
seems kind of strange to say it's quote unquote raw. But whatever. Maybe they're just alluding to the freshness of the ingredients.
Yeah.
No, raw means raw. In translation, we learned
Oh, great.
when
Uh-huh.
the pince showed up, right? I mean, the crust is cooked, so it's
Hmm.
a flatbread that was baked. But then you had these cubes of buffalo mozzarella, just chunks
Yeah.
of buffalo mozzarella. You got your salad, your arugula, your rocket salad, olive oil, and it was a very basic, very light food. The crust is not greasy at all. Everything's very fresh, but something about eating fresh bread with unmelted cheese just
Mm.
felt wrong
Really?
because we were expecting a pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah. One I won't name names, but one of us described the cheese as soft tofu that was just bouncing around
Okay.
and just couldn't even keep it on. Couldn't even keep it on. As soon as you
Oh,
fold in
right.
that crust,
Right.
it starts to
Because
roll
it's
away.
not
It
baked
wanted to do
on
its
there.
own
It's
thing.
just kind of
Baked
topped
on.
on. Yeah.
It's
Oh.
literally like they took a bowl of probably not the right term, but a ball of mozzarella and cut it into quadrants and was like, bam, this is pince. So it wasn't a great introduction. It wasn't a good, kind of gave us a bit of a rocky start
Yeah.
for pizza in Rome.
Yeah.
And then on top of all that, it tasted very healthy. So that
Did
was
that
that
not
was
bode well with you?
no, did not bode well for this Americanized palate.
Oh, man.
And that's actually something that we noticed with a lot of Italy. Actually, was the pizzas. Yeah, we're used to eating a certain style of pizza here in the States. Like I
Yeah.
think there's some kind of fat that's incorporated into the crust here. You got
Mm.
really
Hmm.
greasy
Yeah.
uh, toppings and all these things. And the pizzas in Italy just didn't have that. It They were cleaner. They definitely tasted cleaner.
Yeah.
But we had calzones. We had Neapolitan style pizzas. We had pince. We had another pince just to give another shot another night. Uh, but the pizzas are just not quite what you're used to having here.
Mm.
And I think it takes a little bit of getting used to, at least for us. takes a little bit of getting used to because you're so used to a certain style and taste and flavor
Yeah.
profile and
Yeah.
texture profile here. Um, I didn't find it bad, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
And I still enjoyed it. It still tasted fresh. You know, they've got great cured meats in Italy, so
Yeah.
their prosciutto was very, very good. They really enjoy mortadella, which they use on a lot of their sandwiches and on their pizzas. It's a type of ham. Um, Salami, some of the best salami we've ever eaten. Actually, no, what am I saying? The best salami we've ever eaten, right? Because the salami you get here, especially the store-bought salami, has some firmness to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a waxy exterior.
Right.
And when you bite into it, it's almost like you got to fight the salami. It's almost like a pounded out Slim Jim you're fighting through. Whereas in Italy, I mean, the salami was so tender and it was super easy to work your way through and very tasty. Tasted very fresh. Hands down, best salami I've ever had was just Italy in general. It wasn't any one place.
Yeah.
They all had great salami if they had salami. But yeah, the pizzas are different, and I still enjoy them. But I think people may feel a bit disappointed. I think most of our group, excluding me, was a bit disappointed by the pizzas there because it just doesn't offer the same punch as the pizzas here do. But then, as a side effect, you know, you have a pizza here, you hate yourself, you're tired, you're lethargic, you
Right.
go to bed because
Right.
you can no longer function. Conversing is difficult. Whereas you have a pizza in Italy, like, I don't know, it just felt much cleaner. And we didn't, none of us got, a lot of us on the trip were lactose intolerant. And despite there being cheese and we had gelatos and we had milk-based products, tiramisu, you named it, none of us really felt any side effects from that. And same thing with the pizzas. You know, when you have a pizza here, it's greasy, it's a messy affair, it's tasty, and then you regret it afterwards. There was no real opportunity for regret, but it also didn't quite taste the same. So that was the trade-off. But it was very fresh, and you could keep going after that. You didn't have to end your day because you had a pizza.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Interesting. That's great. I mean, again, it sounds like you said it's a different, it's a different experience, a different, approach, I think, to what we expect pizza to be here in the States. But I mean, it came from there, right? I mean, that's where pizza came from, imagine.
That's what they say.
And then America thought, no, this is not going to work. Let's just,
it's like, this is all wrong. You need to stuff the crust, crust. And then you might as well stuff the whole thing and then bake it in a cake pan and then stack the toppings, right? And then find other things besides cured meats to put into it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's how we do it. And butter.
Right.
You know,
absolutely.
Your deep dishes it's just a beautifully baked butter crust that you stuff with cheese and goodness. And I think if anybody in Italy saw that, they would reel in disgust and throw that thing out the window. So
That's right.
This is a very different style. We did have a pizza. It was a Roman style pizza. It's called Pizzeria Bonci, and that's Bonci. Highly reviewed pizza spot in Rome, and they do pizza by the slice, or pizza all'Italia. I'm probably butchering that. Thanks, Duolingo. And you know, you literally order. You tell them how much to cut off of this. I mean, it's going to sound unappetizing because I already just said pince was not good, but it's like a giant pince. It's just a massive pizza that they've made.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Detroit style pizza. It's got a very fluffy crust, and then the bottom has a very nice crisp to it, but not as greasy for a reason. So again, same thing. They sell it by you. They basically are sitting there with scissors, kitchen shears, cutting these pizzas for you. And then they'll throw them on their scale and they sell it by the pound or by the kilogram.
So you just kind of specify, like, I kind of want a piece this size, or you
attempt to specify because there wasn't real signage, as you can see in those pictures. So you're like,
Yeah.
what is all this? And they take their time. They'll explain to you what the various slices are.
Mm.
So we had a smattering. We had a small menagerie
Wow.
of pizzas to try. We had that one,
Oh,
the
really?
one on the right.
And
That's
what is that?
mortadella.
Mortadella.
It's
Okay.
their ham,
Mm-hmm.
and then the one on the left. I mean, it looks almost like I'm pretty sure it's not pasta, but it looks like retrieval pasta.
Almost does. Yeah.
I don't think it is.
It looks like a julienne
Uh,
kind of vegetable on there, I think.
yeah, they did have some interesting vegetables, and I don't know, it was just because of language barrier, but one of the pizzas had a heaping pile of greens all the way across, and we asked them what kind of pizza said or pizza it was, and they said it was chicory,
Chicory.
which I didn't look that up, but it was a green vegetable.
It looks like a
What is
flower.
what is
I mean, from what
Okay, well, it wasn't flour at all. So clearly, it was a
I mean,
language.
it's an herb, but I mean, like it looks like it's sprouting flowers here, so I don't know.
Yeah, those ones probably not ready for eating. It's probably past due. Should have eaten it earlier. Um, but yeah, I did enjoy that one a lot. They weren't as flavorful. Again, it's like I think the salt isn't as heavy.
Mm,
The grease is not as heavy. And even at this place, there wasn't a lot. We had one that was a tomato-based sauce, and even
yeah,
the tomato-based sauce wasn't that tomatoey, which was kind of surprising. But there were
interesting.
other pizza places that had more quote unquote tomatoey, San Marzano
Yeah.
style
Mm-hmm.
crushed tomatoes on their pizzas. Those are much better. But again,
Interesting.
all very light,
Wow. So I
except for
mean,
Banchi. That was probably the heaviest pizza.
oh, okay, okay, but so a place like Manchi, does that remind? The only parallel I can make, with this experience is like, Triple Beam, right? I mean, they have that same kind of format. It's kind of long, elongated pizza.
Yeah,
You kind of get, whatever size piece or whatever that you want,
right.
but obviously still
Yep.
the flavor and the taste is, different here, right? Than
Yeah.
there. But
I think there's just more richness in our pizzas.
mm,
Probably not good for us overall, and that's probably why we feel so crappy after having pizza.
yeah,
But I think that's really what the biggest difference was there's just so much more fat content in our pizzas.
mm, yeah.
We managed to give it the gosh, what is that place called? The Cheesecake Factory treatment, where you try to figure out how to get as many calories as you can into one slice. It's like
Yeah.
almost like a competition. Like
Yeah.
if I can just squeeze in another 3,000 calories, this can be the best pizza this person's ever had. It was less of that, and then there was no Cheesecake Factory effect, which probably for the better. And people generally in Italy are look like they were more fit.
Hmm.
Granted, it is a walking city.
Yeah.
All other cities are walking cities,
Yeah.
so you get a little bit more exercise.
Amazing.
But yeah, I think it's similar to Triple Beam.
Hmm.
Um, a long, elongated Detroit style pizza,
Detroit. Man, you're really stuck on that
minus
Detroit style. I mean,
minus the cheese crust. There's no
right.
cheese crust.
No cheese crust. That's too bad.
That's too American, right? Again, that's the Cheesecake Factory effect. How do I incorporate more calories into this calorically dense dish? Oh, I know. Let's bake a cheese crust into it.
Oh man, that's the American way. So excellent.
Right.
Well, what
Yeah.
else? Yeah. So we've talked about a little bit of pasta. We've talked some pizza as well. Yeah. What else? What else comes to mind?
Well, the other P of the trifecta is panino
Hmm.
sandwiches. And I think there's different interpretations of sandwiches. There's obviously the Italian style sandwich you get here in the States, where it's some kind of soft bread, bunch of cold cuts,
Yeah.
some vinegar dressing, and greens. Yeah, none of that exists. At least I didn't see
Yeah.
any Italian style sub in Italy. A lot of those sandwiches especially we had them in Florence, tend to consist of a flat bread. Kind of looks like a focaccia, but it's not greasy. So yeah, I didn't look up what kind of bread it was. Probably a place you can look up is Al Antico's, AL and Antico,
Hmm.
Vinale,
Okay.
V is in Victor, Inaio.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the biggest sandwich chains out there. In Florence, they've got a location that's literally three full size shops side by side,
Oh, really?
with
My
full
God.
service counter, and
Mhm.
then across from them is another full size shop that belongs to the same sandwich shop. So they've got four sandwich shops in the same area. Crank out the lines because there's a ton of people. There's a lot of foot
Really?
traffic to get
Really?
through this place. Yeah, so you can see, yeah, in that bread, yeah, it's like a flat bread type thing. It's not a rich bread by any means. It's
Yeah.
quite light, very toasty, maybe like
Mm.
a, a elevated saltine factor, and it's better than that. But
Okay.
um, and then they just dress it with various cold cuts. Um, Again, the mortadella, salami. They've got prosciutto. What else do they have? I mean, there was just a whole variety of cold cuts, and it's like the Jersey Mikes of Italy. You know,
Really?
you've got huge cuts of meat just in the
Yeah.
display,
Uh-huh.
and there's someone at the counter. Right. Bear in mind, these are really small restaurants,
Oh
so
my God.
there's someone at the counter literally just, I don't know where this is. I didn't see this. They're just shaving fresh cold cuts.
Yeah.
So you go up, you know, they welcome you, they ask you what you want, you list off your sandwich, and then they just pull out the orders and they start making them. And as the sandwiches are done, they just yell out the sandwich name. And if that's one you ordered, you reach for it. So we had one that was, I think it was called Fabuloso,
Mm-hmm.
and it was truffle cream with salami or prosciutto with some cold cuts.
My God.
Rocket salad. They're a big fan of rocket salad, which is arugula. Um, and I think it had even like an eggplant spread, you know, but there's all kinds of mixes of things in these sandwiches, and they were pretty solid. I did look up, so the sandwiches, again, just like the pizzas, just like the pastas, everything relatively very affordable
Yeah.
to the cost of dining out here in LA. And again, no tipping, no taxes, no
Right.
mandatory
Right.
health charge on top of everything. It's just, this is the menu price, this is what you pay. If you're sitting at a restaurant, there might be a coperto, which is a cover charge.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's intended to cover things like your silverware and napkins and tablecloths and things like that. And that's just a cover charge per person, and it's between €2 to €4. But
Yeah.
otherwise, like a glass of wine is €5 to €7 if it's a house wine, and even getting a bottle for the table is, I think, about, we saw wines as low as €10 to €20.
Wow.
There's no such thing as a corkage fee. You know, you go to a restaurant here and it's like, hey, I brought my own bottle of wine. Do you mind
Yeah.
opening? Yeah, it costs $30 to
Right.
open that bottle of wine and give you glasses. Whereas,
That's right.
that doesn't exist in Italy. We told that to we did a bike tour and we were talking to our tour guide and we told her about the corkage fees that we pay here. And she literally just stared at us and just gave us a WTF look.
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
that's unheard of. I would never pay somebody to uncork my wine for me.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's just social norms that we're used to having out here that doesn't exist out there. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, I digress. So the sandwiches are just like the pastas. They're very affordable. They were between €6 to €9, and then if you want to splurge on one, I think there was one for €10, which again, about 1.1 conversion factor. It was $7 to $11 for a big sandwich. It's the size of a large format tablet. It's probably the best. Maybe like a 12-inch laptop.
Okay. That's pretty sizable. I mean,
Is that the best form factor I can think of right now? Yeah, and a 10 to 12 inch laptop.
that's pretty big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was no joke. Yeah, you could definitely hurt someone if you hit them with that sandwich. Substantial, not very stuffed, as you can
Mm-hmm.
see in the picture, but just really fresh cold cuts, nice smears, fresh vegetables. And again, lack of lethargy once you've consumed it. Um, that's one of the most popular sandwich shops in Italy. It's probably one of the most well known. Some people say it's overrated. I enjoyed them for the most part. There was one I wasn't a big fan of, but otherwise, generally enjoyed them. Um, there were other sandwich shops that I didn't get to try that one of our group was able to try, and they'd say they had some better sandwiches out there. But Atlantico's has popped up here in LA at Pizzeria
Mm.
Mozza a couple times
Oh,
at Mozza
okay.
to go,
Okay.
and they've
Yeah.
sold out each time. So it's kind of a proof of concept for them to figure out where they can pop one up. I think they're planning to open a location rumored to be in K-Town this year,
Nice. Okay.
but I haven't seen any updates. They have two locations, I want to say, in New York,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
but the sandwiches in New York are $16 to $20.
Of course. Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the price point is somewhere around there here in LA.
Yeah, and then you
Come
still have to
around.
add tax and tip and all those other
Right.
things, right? Yeah.
Yep. Service fee for wrapping the sandwich up for you.
Yeah.
So,
But
so it'll be interesting to see what that business model looks like when it comes over here. But yeah, there's an opportunity for us to have some. So you
that's
don't have
good.
to go all the way to Italy, although I suspect it's not going to be identical. But
No, of
hey,
course. I
you're
I
not
mean,
you're
I
not in
don't
Italy.
this is a kind of a tangent, but I feel like, you know, in some people might take it in a pessimistic way, like, you know, LA doesn't always have like standout food, or, you know, maybe quality is maybe not, you know, if you go overseas, you go international, whatever, like all the food you have, there's probably the best you've ever had, right? And what we have in the States, you know, again, it might get you bloated, or, you know, might get you, you know, just feel something different. But I think in an optimistic sense, like it's amazing what type of food you can find in LA, particularly because there's just so many types of cuisine that you can find within, you know, the city radius. You know, a lot of maybe smaller spots and towns might just have a lot of, I don't know, maybe a few good spots and a lot of fast food chains, right? Not that we don't have those here, but I think that you can find, you know, different types of food in a street corner or something, or popping up somewhere. It's, I think it just showcases, it's just, you know, has LA showcase, I guess, as a great way to experience different types of food and culture. So I don't know. That was just kind of what I was thinking about that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. You can definitely get an incredible variety of food in LA, and their quality items as well, right? I think the biggest difference you'll notice when you go to Italy is just in general it's different from what you're used to having here in LA,
Yeah.
and I think that's part of the charm of what makes it taste so much better. Is that they've got different sources of water, they've got different varieties of vegetables you're growing. So even though it's very recognizable,
Mm-hmm.
your eyes
Mm-hmm.
will say, "Hey, this is pasta." It just tastes very different because the components that go into it are different from the things that you can get here locally, and maybe they're ingredients that you can find at your farmers market. But who's spending the time going there to fix themselves a nice Italian style meal at the farmers using farmers market ingredients? So I think that's probably where the biggest difference is just the source of where their food comes from. And I think there's something to be said about their philosophy is very much farm to table. Things are fresh.
Mm-hmm.
There's, I mean, I'm sure they deal with the same thing we deal with. If major grocery stores have distribution channels, produce has to sit on shelves or sit in trucks before they make it out to the stores. But I think the amount of time that they're in transit and the amount of big produce that's in Italy compared to here, maybe not as substantial, or the timelines to get them into the store are not substantial, or even the pesticides they use. Could be a whole factors of thing. We didn't go and do a bunch of research. We just knew that after a meal we were ready to go to do the next thing. Never really felt tired, and that was probably one of the most incredible and satisfying things about eating in Italy was. I
Mm.
mean, you would be broke if you were in Italy, right? Because you would never feel tired of eating. You would just be like, shoot, I just had 3 cows and a lamb, and I can get on to the next thing.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah, it's just different. I think that's really what it is, right? You're used to ingredients and qualities of ingredients that's local, more local to LA, and
Mm.
sourced more regionally, and
Yeah.
they get a source from a different regions or higher latitude. I don't know if that makes a difference, but I'd imagine just the climate, the types of produce they're able to grow, all sorts of factors go into the quality of food they consume versus the quality of food we consume. That's not to say that you can't get great pasta here. We love the pasta at Bestia.
Right.
I personally enjoy Pasta Sisters. There's quite a few pasta places. Theirs was different
Of
compared
course.
to what you get out there.
Of course.
We
Interesting.
bought a bunch of store-bought pasta to
Uh-huh.
try cooking here.
Oh, uh-huh.
And yeah, we're tired of the old Barilla, uh, that first blue box. This is food because there's no other option except the grocery store's private brand. So we bought a couple of just random bags. We didn't even know what the brands were. And we tried to figure out what's a good brand of pasta, and it's really a lot of the articles mainly just talked about what was popular in Italy, not necessarily rating the texture or the flavor of the pastas, but something you'll see consistently is you want to look for a pasta that's high in protein content. So yeah, unfortunately everything's in the metric system, so all the pastas are in grams, but you want to look for about 14 grams, 13 to 15 grams of protein per 100 grams of pasta. And fairly consistently, I mean, every package of pasta we looked at had at minimum 13 grams of protein. So I was like, well, that didn't help me eliminate any choices. Like going to your local grocery store and it's like, oh, I want to buy peanut butter. Okay, here's 15 varieties of peanut butter. Pick poison. Kind of feels like that in Italy with pasta. You go to a grocery store, even like a high-end grocery store, there's a ton, well, not high-end because you expect to have more variety, but even like their equivalent of, I don't know, like a Ralph's or Vaughn's, although they're never that size, so significantly smaller. But if you go to a grocery store out there, there's like 7 to 10 brands to choose from. So I think we bought 4 different brands. We've tried 2 of them now since we've been back, and it's easily their pasta is better than our pasta.
Really?
Even their store-bought pasta. Yeah. It takes 10 minutes to cook. It's a perfect al dente. Got nice texture, nice firmness. Neutral flavor, fairly neutral flavor. It's got it's just the right bite. So whatever you sauce it in, it just carries that sauce and it does what it needs to do. It's a noticeable difference from what you can buy here. What we were curious about was there is an Eataly out in Italy. And we've got Eataly out here in Culver City. So once we make it through all of our pasta, we were curious to swing by Eataly and see if we can find some of those non-Barilla brands and see how comparable they are to the stuff you can get over there in Italy.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be a good comparison. What are you cooking as far as, what are your sauces and things with your pasta? What are you topping them with?
It's embarrassing to admit because it's going to be the same sauce the entire time. But when we were in Cinque Terre, Cinque Terre stands for, it's short for 5 earths or 5 lands. And they're known for a handful of things. Focaccia is one, anchovies are one. But something they're known for is pesto. They say it's the birthplace of pesto.
Oh, okay.
So we took a pesto making class while we were out there. Okay. And since we've been back, we've been dressing our pastas in just pesto.
Have you been making your own pesto like have they've been showing you,
So, I mean, for the most part, the way they showed us, granted, when they showed us, they gave us a mortar and a pestle.
Right.
To crush the basil. And at home, I use my Blendtex, which is not quite a mortar and pestle.
But will it blend? Faster. Of course. I mean,
but will it blend? So it's not 100% replication because their variety of basil is this very cute, vibrant, small-leaved basil plant, and out here at Trader Joe's, like the basil plant is the size of my fist. The leaves are the size of my fist. So it's not the same variety, but the flavor is pretty good. Yeah, I can't give you the recipe per se because I don't know how we measure it. It's kind of just eyeballing and trying to figure out what consistency you like. But all the pestos just basically consist of 5-6 ingredients. It's a good olive oil. Basil, obviously, pine nuts, some kind of cheese, usually a pecorino romano, which is just a type of, it's a sheep's milk cheese, pecorino. Yeah. And then the romano just means it's from Rome, and Toscana is from Tuscany. So that second word is just telling you where it's from. So basil, oil, pine nuts, cheese, salt, and garlic. 6 ingredients.
Very simple.
And then it goes in the Blendtec, and you just figure out how much oil. Probably the trickiest thing is just oil. How much oil you want to add. It just depends on your preference.
For the consistency or whatever.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The problem with the Blendtec is it's so powerful, and because I want my meal quickly, I will blend it at one of the highest
Oh
RPMs.
my.
And so when it comes out, it's almost like a mousse. I think the oil emulsifies. It becomes almost like a pesto mayonnaise.
My.
Um,
Oh
but,
Lord.
you know, once you get it onto a hot bowl of
Mm-hmm.
freshly cooked pasta, yeah, it'll incorporate the oils will kind of release into the pesto. The cheese at the end of the pesto will melt into your pasta, and you just give it a quick mix, and it's super easy to do.
Yeah.
Trader Joe's has right now they've got a ton of basil,
Yeah.
so it's
Okay.
super accessible, and it's not really expensive. I mean, probably the most expensive ingredient is if you're buying quality olive oil, probably the olive oil
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very nice.
and the cheese.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's not true. The pine nuts are really expensive. All right. So the more I think about it, it's fairly pricey. Fairly pricey thing to put together, but you're not using the whole bottle of olive oil and you're not using the whole wedge of cheese every time you're making it. So you're really just adjusting the taste. And the pine nuts are really expensive. I mean, they're telling us even the pesto making class, the pine nuts they get from Pisa,
Mm-hmm.
and per kilogram, it's more expensive for a kilogram of pine nuts than it is for a kilogram of gold.
Oh my.
I did not independently verify that, so if I'm misleading your listeners, please fact check me.
It's usually Mychow that does the fact checking here because I'm the one who
Oh, okay,
spews out
well,
the misinformation.
so let me just misinform, and then when my child gets back, you can have them go through and
That's
listen.
right.
And then in the next episode, before you guys get started, just offer all the corrections.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I'll get on that.
This happens when you take TO, my child.
That's right. You think you can get away from us, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, those are the three P's, and obviously they've got other foods besides the three P's. Gelato being the biggest one that comes to mind. We had a ton of gelato.
Yeah.
Kind of the same trend. You know, it's just you don't feel super heavy after you have it. The serving sizes are reasonable. The pricing is very reasonable. We went to Grom, which is over here I think is in Century City, a gelato shop. Fairly pricey here, but over there it was about €3.50 for two flavors of gelato.
What was the name of the
but
place?
things are Grom, GROM.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Like prom, but delicious.
Sure. Yeah. So
I mean, we had gelato almost every day.
Wow. Okay.
Two of the most popular flavors that you'll find fairly consistently are going to be hazelnut
Okay.
and pistachio.
And why is that?
And then I don't know, must be a national nut. I don't know. We didn't look into that, but it's really easy to find those two flavors. And then they don't get too wild. It's not like a salt straw situation where they'll dump like crickets into your Halloween ice cream. They don't get too crazy with flavors. Some of them have banana flavor, which was really nice, fresh banana flavor. In Cinque Terre, so they're known for anchovies. They're known for basil. They're known for focaccia. They're also known for their lemons. So one of the places had it's a lemon cream flavor, crema de limona.
Wow.
Limona. It's a lemon cream flavor. That was very nice.
Okay.
And then the other thing you'll tend to find pretty consistently at the gelaterias in Italy are sorbets. So fruit-based sorbets. Very nice.
Yeah.
Strawberries, raspberries, pineapple, you name it, they've got a sorbet for it. And it's not quite like the stuff you find here. It's just a very nice, pleasant texture. And then strong fruit flavor, but the fruit flavor tastes natural. It tastes like a fruit.
Really?
It doesn't taste like you're eating something that a chemical engineer had to go and get a PhD and decide to figure out how to recreate the flavor of banana. They just use the banana.
Okay.
It turns out you don't need science. You can just go to the local farm and get some fruit and incorporate it into your dessert.
Is Grom like kind of the bigger like names out there as far as gelato goes, or
Rom is one. The other one is Venki,
Venki? Mm-hmm.
Venchi.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my party noticed quite a few Venkis. I didn't notice it until the very last day, and it just so happened that I found them on Google Maps because they're the closest one to my
Oh,
vicinity.
okay. Okay.
But there was a line out there, and that was probably the best gelato we had. Was at
Really?
Venki,
Mm.
and I don't know if there's any here stateside. Are you doing the fact
Um,
checking slash
I see
internet
one
research?
in New York, I think.
Oh, okay, well, not here.
Okay. Yeah, but not in
But
LA.
I'm not too surprised that there's some location in New York. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a chocolate shop and a gelato.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's what's unique. Well, one of the unique things about them is they offer that, and then they offer like more fufu cones and cups. So
Mm-hmm.
you can get your waffle cone sprayed on the inside with chocolate and dipped in chocolate and
Oh, man.
things like that. The other places is just cone or cup, and then you can get a waffle cone or a regular cone. So kind of what we're more used to here.
Interesting.
They didn't give it the Disneyland treatment.
No, no, I wouldn't think so. Yeah. They have class over there.
That's why we eat at Disneyland.
The likes of us, of
No
course.
class. No class.
Um, very nice. So we've covered kind of those major, as I refer to them as food groups. So we have we have the pastas, the pizza,
Yeah.
pinza, is that what you said?
Pince, which is the
Pince.
flatbread.
Yeah. Gelato, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the major kind of food groups there, it
Those are
seems.
the major food groups. And then the major beverage groups are wine,
Okay.
wine, wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had cocktails on their menu, but not everybody had cocktails, but consistently wine and lots of coffee,
Oh, really?
cappuccinos, uh, espresso shots. Cappuccinos are really intended to be consumed as breakfast because it has milk in it. Otherwise, you have an espresso shot or
Mm.
some kind of coffee, heavy coffee with maybe water. If you're having like an americano, although I think they probably frown upon you having an americano because it's just why do you need to dilute your coffee? It's perfect as is. Why add water?
Mm.
But coffee culture is huge. After every meal, they'll ask you if you want some coffee before you wrap up. And the coffee there is very nice. Uh, we had quite a bit of coffee, and maybe it was a jet lag, but I didn't feel over energized by the coffee we had. It felt like the right amount of caffeine, despite it being strong cups of coffee.
Wow.
So
Okay.
again, it's either us being hypnotized by the mysticism of this place, or something about the coffee just doesn't make you feel like that. I don't know which one it is, but
Wow. But it goes down nicely. Um,
yeah,
mm.
yeah, it's a good way to start the morning, and there's coffee shops all over the place. Fun fact, if you decide to have it there, they charge you a little more, but if you take it to go, they'll charge you less because
Oh.
it's the cover for the table and things
Oh,
like that. That's what
interesting.
yeah, when we got there, we had a van drive us to our Airbnb. We got a van service because we had a bunch of luggage. And she was very chatty and gave us a lot of
Tips and
bits of information
mm-hmm,
about
mm-hmm.
Italy, and that was one of them. The other thing is bathrooms. Bathrooms generally are pretty clean. And the bathrooms are everywhere because people drink coffee all the time. And
Oh,
when
okay.
you have coffee, you got a bathroom.
Yeah.
Some places, if you order something small, they'll let you use the restroom. And then there's also public restroom. Well, maybe not public restrooms because some of the quote unquote public restrooms require you to pay €1 to use them.
Oh, uh-huh.
So
Right.
that's something to bear in mind. We tend to just use the restroom at the restaurants, or if we're visiting a landmark, they usually had some kind of bathroom facility.
Very nice. Good
The
to
other thing
know.
she shared with us that was really interesting was she told us specifically that the lines on the roads are
Mm-hmm.
merely suggestions in Rome, and that when they paved over the roads and it was completely black, they just thought, it'd be nice to put some decorative elements in there. So that's what the lines are for, but they're merely suggestions.
Really? Okay.
Um, yeah, driving in Rome is no joke. Just watching her navigate. I mean, it was a big van. I think it was almost the size of a Ford truck. It was like a Mercedes Sprinter van that we
Okay.
were in.
Yeah. Almost like cargo
And
size. Yeah.
yeah, almost cargo size, super tight roads.
Yeah.
Obviously not made for cars, especially big cars, but she was
Mm-hmm.
able to navigate those corners, get through the city, um, squeeze through really tight places without any hassles and any scratches or bumps or anything like that. So I was very impressed. Yeah, they all have a very good understanding of the dimensions of their cars, except when it
Mm.
comes to parking, I guess, because that's when all the stuff's happening. But I mean, they park very close to one another too, right? So that's something that was very different from what I'm used to here in
Mm-hmm.
LA, where you have a little more space, you give people more space in front behind you. Over there, it's like if you got space to creep up, you're gonna creep up as close as you can creep up to that car right
Yeah.
behind you.
Man.
And I can't imagine how long it takes to get out of a parking spot.
No, it'd be kind of nightmarish for us, for our kind here. It'd be crazy.
Oh yeah, no, we would be kicking and screaming, and probably would scratch the other car, and hopefully people are honest enough to leave a note. But that's it's just a different culture, different the
Mm-hmm.
way they look at their cars versus how we look at our cars.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Okay. Well, good to know. So we've talked a lot again about different foods, different food groups, good examples of, what you've had. I just want to go through, maybe you kind of identify a few kind of things, and maybe you'll repeat some of the things you've already mentioned. But let me just start. What would you say is the favorite and the least favorite items that you've had, among everything? If you could name one, one of each there.
Favorite and least favorite items. Do we do like a worth it winner? Go at one different price points. What is some of the best foods?
If that works
Because
for
I mean,
you, if that works for you,
I'll
go for it.
try. I'll try. I mean, on the high end, we did do one Michelin star restaurant. It
Mm-hmm.
was called San Jacopo.
Okay.
Let me look for this place.
And what kind of restaurant was this?
It was
Italian.
a very. It was just pinces and wine, just elevated pince, taco jet, everything. Things kind of wrapped in a bubble.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't find it in our itinerary. I think it was San Jacopo.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
So
but it
what did?
was
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was all the chef was very playful with the menu. So there was a tasting. It was a tasting menu, and they had a summer menu and then the regular tasting menu. So I believe we had the regular tasting menu. I could be wrong, but I believe we had the regular tasting menu, and it was just a variety of things. We had
Mm.
different. Let's see. We started with some appetizers. So it was bread with a slice of, basically it was pork fat, it's
Mm.
just a slice of
Ooh,
lard,
excellent.
but it was super flavorful. Uh, didn't feel like you were eating something extremely unhealthy. Like it felt reasonable to be eating. Um, we had turbo, which is a fish dish. We had some, I don't know, it was almost like the equivalent of a turducken, except just Italian style. So just different animals wrapped into a casing that they had. I think it was in a pig skin that they had fished up. So almost like lechon on the outside, but then Italian flavors on the inside. That was really nice. Um, what else did they have? We had the best thing that we had there. Everybody raved about the palate cleanser they gave us before dessert.
Mm.
And the palate cleanser was, I mean, it was, everything was a work of art, but the palate cleanser was this pineapple. It was like a very thinly cut pineapple, almost like sashimi pineapple that they wrapped around. I would have to guess maybe some kind of cream cheese or like milk based
Mm.
item. And then there was different citrus elements to it and floral elements. Very, very nice. Great palate cleanser. I would have been happy just having palate cleanser all night and not eating any of the dessert. Dessert
Okay.
was good too,
Yeah.
but it was just very refreshing. A very nice way to prepare that pineapple parrot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a very imaginative uh, menu, as you could expect from a Michelin star. And it didn't feel very pretentious. Some of the Michelin star places that we've been to, even at the one Michelin star level, some of them feel a little pretentious.
Really. Okay.
The way they talk about things, the way they point things out, and they interact with you. This felt like no frills. enjoy this experience. Yeah, it's different from what you're used to dining in a regular dining environment. Yeah, it is a higher level of service, but it didn't feel overly oppressive, or it didn't feel like they were watching you too closely, or it didn't feel like you're being monitored by Big Brother as you attempted to eat whatever it was that
Yeah.
the chef came up with.
Okay.
But that was up there as a favorite. So that's at the high end of the price point.
Okay.
Focaccia in Manarola, which is one of the towns in Cinque Terre, that was really nice. There's a place called Pia de Campo, and it's a cute little place on a rooftop. They're known for lemon trees, so they've got lemon trees growing in their backyard or in the space, the dining space. They've got string lights going through, so we went out there for dinner. They had a tasting menu or a flight of their white wines from the region.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had just a variety of focaccias, topped with various. Oh yeah, you found it. Impressive. Much prettier at night, so you got to keep scrolling so you can see
let's find the ones. Sure.
Yeah. But that was it's almost like a giant pince, but focaccia style.
Right.
Not particularly expensive. I'm trying to remember how much that cost. I think it was like 20 euros maybe for one of those focaccias, but that feeds 4 or 2 people. So so we got 2 of those, and you got to choose a flavor on each, 2 flavors on each one, or 2 toppings, really not flavors on each one. Their dessert maybe not as strong because they lean hard on focaccia. So it was a focaccia and Nutella. Not that it was bad, but it's literally focaccia with Nutella. So take that for what you will.
Yeah.
But very nice. Those are probably the 2 that stick out the most. I mean, all the pastas are really good. There isn't really anything that I would say was quote unquote better than the other. They all had great pasta. And then Cinque Terre is also known for seafood, so we had a really nice seafood, like a tomato-based seafood stew, quote unquote, and it's just a mixed variety of clams and shrimps and things like that in this stew. That was also really nice. Probably 3 standout things.
Okay. Well, how about some things that didn't stand out as much? That can be hard.
Your 12 viewers are probably going to blast you for this, for having me here and saying this, but there's a Florentine steak place.
Mm-hmm.
That's called. Is it? One moment while I consult my itinerary that I did not assist in compiling. So this is going to take a while to find. Let's see. It was when we were in Florence and we had dinner at Trattoria dell'Oste.
Okay.
This is a steakhouse, and it's a Florentine steak place, and I think Florence is known for their steaks, and the way they prepare it is, the way it's intended to be enjoyed is rare, medium rare, just cooked on an open fire. So this place sells porterhouse cuts. They've got other cuts too, but they're known for their porterhouse cut.
Okay.
Which is New York on one side and a filet on the other side. And it's really well reviewed. TripAdvisor, we had friends who had visited Italy before we had, raved about this place. Multiple friends who visited it before we did rave about this place. There's YouTubers out there, I won't name names, so I don't want them to flame your channel, but they raved about this place as well.
Yeah.
Not good. Yeah, probably the most disappointing meal we had.
Oh my God.
Extremely disappointing.
Wow.
I think it could have been a bad cut. 2 things that rubbed me the wrong way at this place. Really pretentious place. Really, it's not relative to what you would pay out here for a cut of meat of that size. It probably is comparable, if not cheaper. So we had a 2.8 kilogram cut of porterhouse that's been dry aged. So that's roughly 4 pounds, give or take. And that was like 110 euros. Whereas you think about like going to a Mastro's, and you get like a filet. A filet is like $60 for one person. So this was enough to share with 4, cooked medium, cooked rare, And it was just really tough. It was a battle. It's like the cow wasn't cooked enough, and it fought back when you tried to eat it. It was just
Yeah.
very unpleasant.
Yeah.
The flavor was okay. The filet side definitely was better than the New York side. New York side was really, really a battle to get through. So
Interesting.
that was one disappointment. Was this steak that we had? We were super excited about it, and I think we all came away being a bit underwhelmed, even disappointed.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that was disappointing was the way they served their wine, which
Okay.
sounds strange, right? How do you serve wine in a strange way?
Okay.
Just pour it in the glass, which is typically what everybody else did. They either poured it in the glass and handed it to you,
Right.
or they had already poured it at the kitchen or at the bar and brought it to you. This place brought 4 wine glasses. They placed it on a little table, like a little collapsible table next to you. And then your waiter is like, "Oh, hello, welcome." Speaks perfect English, so it's a touristy spot. Like perfect English. There's not a bit of Italian to his accent at all. Not to mention, I think he was Indian or Southeast Asian, so definitely not Italian.
Interesting. Okay.
But we ordered a bottle of wine, brought it to us, let one of our travel buddies taste it. We said, "Cool, good." He said, "Great." And then normally, once you say "good to go," it's not corked, it hasn't gone bad. They'll just pour your wine glasses and leave you be. This guy poured maybe a tablespoon or so of wine into one wine glass, and then he tipped it to the point where it almost poured out of the glass. Then he started to twirl it like a cement mixer to coat the entire glass surface,
Okay.
the interior glass surface with wine. It's almost like he was trying to, I don't know, ensure that it was evenly coated with wine before he then took whatever wine was in that glass, poured it into the next glass, and repeated this process until all 4 wine glasses were done. I can't imagine if you went there with a party of 12, would you have to literally sit there and wait for this guy to coat 12 glasses of wine before you finally got to have it? But I mean, we've been fortunate enough to have been to a few Michelin star places. We've been to some, quote unquote fluffier places here in LA. Never in my lifetime of dining has anybody seasoned my wine glass with the wine I'm about to drink. So that was a really strange experience. That did not help at all with the dining experience. It was one of the first things they did. It definitely put a strange note in our mouths. And then as soon as we had the steak, we're like, this is 2 strikes.
Wow, that's surprising. So, I think that is very surprising.
Yeah, very surprising. It's very contrarian to what everybody else says about this place. So my guess is it was probably a bad cut. It is very well reviewed up and down. TripAdvisor, Google, Yelp, word of mouth, YouTube, friends. Everybody gives it rave reviews, but I'm giving it 2 questionable thumbs in a sideways fashion.
Very interesting.
I would not revisit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's too bad. It's just interesting that not everything is always as cracked up to be. Okay, well, I guess we'll pay a visit to Black Angus then. And
yes, let's get their dry aged.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Well, that seems to really stand out as maybe not one of the less favorable, kind of things. I am curious though. Would you say that was the most expensive meal that you had? Or
the steakhouse?
Yeah, the steakhouse.
No, the most expensive meal would have been the Michelin star.
The Michelin star? Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the cheapest meal that you had? That's kind of hard to say. I mean, like a singular item, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, what constitutes a meal?
Yeah, at this point, I don't know.
Because we had, like, for example, we had a coffee and a pastry one morning. And to me, that felt like a meal. To you, it's probably an insult to have just that amount of food and be satisfied.
And how much?
The cheapest thing we had was It was €3 for a cappuccino, and then €6 for, they call it cornetto, which kind of looks like a croissant, and then it's filled with more rocket salad, more cold cuts, maybe cheese.
Yeah.
That was €6. So
Huh.
was that the cheapest thing? Because Al Antico sandwiches were, I think, yeah, €7 or higher. I think that was the cheapest thing. We did when we were on the train to um, we were on the train to Milan. We did pick up some grocery store bought pizzas and focaccia. That's probably the cheapest meal we had. I think the
Uh,
focaccia was like €4 in the grocery
from
store.
a
Yeah,
grocery
they're all,
store.
yeah. The Carrefour
Uh-huh.
is one of their grocery store chains.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we were in the train station, um, going from Cinque Terre to Milan, we had a quote unquote layover at, I think it was the town called Levanto. And
Mm-hmm.
there's not much around near that train station. You know, you go to the train station in Rome and it's massive, sprawling complex, tons of restaurants. You arrive at the train station in Milan, massive, sprawling complex, ton of restaurants. Levanto, very, very small. I think 3 platforms, maybe four,
Mm-hmm.
four
Mm-hmm.
platforms total. One restaurant, which is not really a restaurant, it's a cafe. It's a convenience store. So yeah, we didn't want to eat chips for breakfast. So I picked up some focaccia and a small personal sized pizza that we had shared amongst ourselves at the local Carrefour. And I think that was probably €4 maybe for each of those items. Really good though, surprisingly, for especially for a grocery store. The focaccia was really nice, and the little pizza was fine. Just pizza. It's Rome. It's Italian style pizza.
Okay. All right.
It actually tasted more similar to something you might find in our grocery store to
Mm.
go pizza item.
Interesting.
Oh, the other thing that I did not really enjoy was there was another focaccia place in Manarola
Mm-hmm.
that, I just, so when we did our pesto making class, it was on this part of the island where it's a very small piece of land. It's a very narrow but long piece of land. Beautiful view of the ocean or of the Mediterranean, but um, no space for a kitchen. So the food that you got served was almost like a charcuterie board. But unlike a charcuterie where you have a variety of meats, the only variety of meat is prosciutto. Very good prosciutto, but just crazy volume of it. So it was a giant cutting board full of prosciutto. There was some of the best cantaloupe we've ever had.
Yeah.
There was a burrata salad in there. Uh, what other elements? A couple of pieces of bruschetta, and then the rest of it was prosciutto. And there was a ton of prosciutto. And then when we finished the burrata salad and removed the bowl that was sitting on top of the prosciutto, it turns out I thought they had just piled the prosciutto onto the board so that it was forming a moat around this bowl. No, when you remove this bowl of burrata underneath it, turns out it was more prosciutto. So we just couldn't finish it all between the two of us. So I stopped by a focaccia place to get some focaccia to accompany the remaining prosciutto that I could
Mm-hmm.
not eat.
Mm-hmm.
And the focaccia was just very heavy, very oily. Yeah, it was olive
Really?
oil
Wow.
focaccia. Yeah, and it was maybe a little too much. The olive oil was nice, was a nice flavor, but it was just too much of it. So that was probably one of the other items that was not as appealing.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh, you know what? The pince, that very first pince. How many of these things do you normally ask people for that they didn't enjoy? Yeah, pince was a rough start to pizza in
Okay.
Italy. So
Okay.
those three things:
But hopefully it kind of
Daloste, the first pince.
I
Yeah,
see. But hopefully it redeemed itself over time, with other places that you visited.
we had one more pince. We said we're done with pince, and it moved on.
Okay. 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 So now it's back to Little Caesars and Digiorno here. So
I don't think I can. At least I'm gonna need some time. Yeah, Digiorno is tricky because it has an Italian sounding name, so you think it's like the pizzas in Italy, but I suspect it's not going to be similar.
well, it's not delivery.
Right?
It's Digiorno.
It's Digiorno.
Well, I don't want to end on such a a low note. But I think from all the foods that
what's wrong with Digiorno?
nothing wrong with them. But from all the foods that you have mentioned, you know, the standouts and everything, if there's a food that you could go back, when you do go back, that you could have again, right, immediately, as soon as you get off the plane or whatever, what would that be? Either specific dish or restaurant.
Pasta and a sandwich, a panino.
Panino?
Yeah, a sandwich.
Oh, okay.
I'd be happy having either pasta or a panino.
From any particular place or just?
I mean, we had pasta from several places, and they were all good. There was nothing to complain about. And then I only had sandwiches from that one place, but there was a couple other places that was on the itinerary, but didn't get a chance to try. But similar style, where flatbread, cold cuts, rocket salad, spreads. But those are. If we had more time, I would have spent more time eating.
Okay.
Sandwiches.
Yeah. Very nice. Okay. You have any other kind of last thoughts for our listeners?
Closing arguments. If you get a chance, I would highly recommend checking out, especially if you're a big fan of Italian food.
Yeah.
Turns out pasta is quite a magical food over there.
Okay.
And Italy is massive. There's a lot to check out. We only did a handful of places. We did make it out to wine country for a day in Tuscany. That was really beautiful too. Had a great meal there. Oh, how did I not? I forgot about that one. Had a great meal at the vineyard, which was really strange. I wasn't expecting to have a nice meal at a vineyard. Usually it's just wine tasting that you get paired with maybe some finger foods, but this was a full on meal.
Where was it?
Yeah, it was in Tuscany, and the vineyard was Avignonesi.
Okay.
Good luck. Fact checking that.
Yeah.
Avignonesi.
I do see it, which is nice.
Yeah, they've got a really nice kitchen. They've got a proper chef there, and they had a really nice summertime menu. A lot of fresh fruits. They've got their own. In addition to growing grapes, they've got their own garden where they grow a lot of the produce that they serve there, and it's very fresh, very different interpretation on certain dishes, and was overall really nice.
Wow.
Semifreddo type of dessert they have out there. Semifreddo is like semi-soft or semi-frozen.
Okay.
It's like a softer ice cream that's not gelato. That was really nice. Yeah, there was actually quite a lot. I mean, if you're asking me to recap 36 meals, I can't. I'm not going to be able to be particularly helpful.
I see.
But in general, we had great experiences dining out in Italy, and for we were expecting to spend much more on food in Italy, and we were pleasantly surprised how much it came out to be. So check it out. That's fine.
Just another reason. Yeah. Just another reason to, try it out. Maybe go back.
Yeah.
And get some more.
If you're a fan of pasta, yeah, that's the place to be.
Yeah.
If you enjoy gelato, it's the place to be.
Okay. Good. Well, thank you very much, John. I really appreciate all the knowledge and the tips and everything you've shared with us today. I hope our listeners kind of glean some good info, and I hope we didn't wear you down too much. I thought
I'm exhausted.
I don't know.
Mentally, I didn't even talk as much at work.
I mean, even just talking, as soon as you got on, I knew it's already downhill from there. It's like,
that's right. As soon as you made the introduction and tried to recall where we met, you're like, oh man, this was a regretful decision.
I know. Exactly. Well, that's how Mychow feels every time. See, he has to go through that every week, whatever. That's why he's taking time off. So
right, time off is really just a mental health break.
Exactly.
Just trying to mend his psychological health.
That's right. Well, thanks again. I hope, I don't know, hopefully, I wonder if you'd consider to come back on for more of your adventures and trips or things. But for now, hopefully you've really shared a lot, and I'm sure our listeners are really down to try out or at least take a look at what you've shared. So from all I could say, buongiorno, right? Thank you. we've come
to you too.
Digiorno to you too. Well, it sounds like we've come to the end of another episode, so thank you for joining us. We're excited to bring you more of our adventures with good food and good people. You can reach out to us at Instagram. I'm at Dumb and Hungry. When Mychow is not dead to us, he's at my_chow. You can also reach us by email at hi@dumbandhungry.com, where you can leave us your feedback and your love letters. You can find the videos here on YouTube. Won't you like and subscribe and smash? You can also find the audio here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else fine podcasts are served. But until next time, I'm Angelo.
I'm not Mychow.
And on your next food adventure, remember to try one of each.